Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to 168 Hours of the top local stories. I'm Abdullah Ahil, your host for the evening. Stay tuned. Government Gazette. Applications for nominations for the pi.presidency.gov.mv and nominations will be open until 2 p.m. on the 15th of September. The President confers the award to individuals whose exceptional skills and performance are a source of national pride and who have made substantial contributions to national progress and similar to previous years. The award features 4 categories this year. The first category is dedicated to individuals who have attained a Maldives Qualification Authority or MQA Level 10 qualification for publication of research in an international journal, and those who have completed qualifications between MQA Levels 7 and 9 at the highest standard and attained the highest grade for a research project or dissertation. The third category is dedicated to innovative and enterprising individuals who have presented practical resolutions or outstanding solutions by conducting academic research on critical national challenges. The fourth category is dedicated to exceptional creativity and innovation that enhance national development. Youths between ages of 18 and 35 are eligible for the awards. The Special Awards Committee advises all applicants to adhere to the guidelines for document submission during the application process. Applicants are reminded to have their certificates attested by a lawyer certified by the Bar Council of the Maldives. This year, the President's Award for Special Achievement will be conferred during an official celebration commemorating the Republic Day of Maldives. Minister of Tourism and Environment Tariq Ibrahim and the United States Ambassador to the Maldives Hugo Yon convenes for high-level discussions aimed at strengthening bilateral cooperation in the environmental sector, with particular attention given to investment in clean energy initiatives. The meeting between Tourism and Environment Minister Tariq Ibrahim and U.S. Ambassador was hosted at the Environment Ministry in Male. Central to their exchange were proposals to expedite foreign investment in environmentally sustainable energy generation, notably in solar and other renewable technologies. This dialogue underscored both governments' commitment to deepening diplomatic ties through environmental collaboration. Minister Tariq and Ambassador Yan also examined the prospect of U.S. assistance to support the Maldives' efforts in addressing acute ecological challenges, especially those tied to energy transition and climate resilience. Clean energy emerged as a defining theme, with solar power development identified as a principal area of shared interest. Ministry officials described the talks as a pivotal step toward advancing strategic cooperation and encouraging joint responses to environmental vulnerabilities that continue to threaten small island nations. Within this context, the administration of President Dr. Mohamed Muiz has been advancing a broad portfolio of environmental initiatives, many designed to reconfigure the national energy infrastructure in favor of low-carbon alternatives. Among these is the landmark Solar City Initiative, which President Muiz designated as the country's inaugural Special Economic Zone or SEZ project during a state visit to Singapore in July. The program has now entered its implementation phase, backed by contractual arrangements for the development of a 100-megawatt floating solar photovoltaic or PV system. The Ministry of Finance and Planning figures shows the state budget expenditure as of July 17th compared to the same period last year declined by 17.9%, while state revenue increase has taken the budget surplus to over $64 million so far this year. According to the ministry's weekly fiscal development report, released state expenditure amounted to $1.3 billion as of the 17th of July, which is down 17.9% from the $1.5 billion spent during the same period last year. Recurrent expenditure topped total expenditure with $1.1 billion but remained 3.5% lower than the figure in 2024. Out of the total recurrent expenditure, $460.4 million was spent on salaries and pensions, while $642 million was on administrative expenses. Structured capital spending by this government has brought capital expenditure down by 61.4% from last year, $149.2 million compared to $382.6 million recorded during the same period last year. In addition to slashing expenditure, the government's ongoing fiscal reform efforts have boosted state revenue, with the revenue and grants as of the 17th of July reported at $1.3 billion, which is 7.9% more than the $1.2 billion earned during the same period in 2024. Maldives Monetary Authority states the Maldives has registered a substantial increase in fish exports in the first half of the current year, with exports rising by 43% compared with the same period in 2024. By the end of June, export receipts had reached $74.5 million, up from $52 million a year earlier, a surge chiefly driven by expanded export volumes.
As fish exports continue to anchor the country's export portfolio, monthly value of fish exports throughout the 6-month period exhibited considerable variation. April recorded the highest value, totaling $18.2 million, followed by February, which recorded $13.3 million, March recorded $12.4 million, May recorded $11.2 million, June recorded $10.8 million, and January recorded $8.6 million. Revenue gains were closely paralleled by a 67% increase in export volume. Between January and June, the nation exported 44,877.7 metric tons of fish, compared with 26,850.8 metric tons in the same period last year. This rise in output reflects intensified domestic fishing activity across the country.
Chief Executive Officer of Male Group of Hospitals, Ibrahim Abdul Razak Halim, says the government is planning to construct a new 10-story building as part of the Hulu Male Hospital expansion project.
Abdul Razak, speaking during PSM News Rajamia, the program, shared the development plans to develop the 4 hospitals under the group, including the Indira Gandhi Memorial Hospital, Dharmavanta Hospital, Hulu Male Hospital, and Willy Male Hospital, serving hundreds of patients across the greater Male region every day. Part of the plan, according to CEO Abdul Razak, is to develop a new building on the vacant plot adjacent to the Hulu Male Hospital, adding that the budget for the 10-story building with fully equipped 250 beds and private rooms is being drawn up in collaboration with the Ministry of Finance and Planning, the Ministry of Health, and the Ministry of Construction, Housing and Infrastructure. He also said in addition, a new 28-bed ward is being developed at the Hulu Male Hospital, adding that the project is scheduled to be completed before the end of the year. Sharing the latest update on the Willy Male Hospital project, Abdul Razak said efforts to relocate the Willy Male Hospital services to the former children's shelter building to make way for the construction of a new state-of-the-art hospital building is already underway. The hospital, which will be developed with the grant assistance of the Chinese government, has been divided across 2 buildings. There will also be special beds for outpatient, inpatient, emergency, diagnostic, ICU, and hemodialysis treatment. Abdul Razak expects the project to get off the ground later this year or early next year. According to Abdul Razak, the group has, during the past 18 months, significantly boosted the human resource capacity across the 4 hospitals in the greater Male region. He said to complement the vision to expand quality service and develop infrastructure, the government has attached special emphasis to enhancing the human resource capacity of the health sector. IGMH and Dharmavanta Hospital currently provides 32 specialist services. And according to Abdul Razak, the primary aim of Male City Group of Hospitals is to ultimately reduce the need to travel abroad to seek medical care.
Maldives Monetary Authority figures shows Maldives' gross international reserves increased to $832 million in the first 6 months of the year.
MMA's economic update for July showed that gross international reserves increased to $832.4 million. At the end of June 2025, from $815.8 million at the end of May 2025. This also depicted a growth of $323.2 million from the $509.2 million recorded at the end of June 2024. MMA data shows that despite the growth in official reserves, usable reserves have declined during this period. Usable reserves stood at $203 million as of June, down by 6.8% from the $217.9 million recorded in May this year. The decline was primarily down to an increase in short-term foreign debt obligations, as $742.5 million are paid in May compared to the $774.5 million in June. With the pressures on reserve levels persisting, the government has introduced measures to reinforce foreign currency holdings. A legislation passed earlier this year mandates that a portion of tourism sector revenue be exchanged through domestic banks. Initially, banks were required to sell 60% of these funds to the MMA, but an amendment that took effect on 1st June raised this threshold to 90%, ensuring a greater influx of foreign currency into official reserves.
The Ministry of Finance and Planning recruits a local consultancy firm to prepare the 20-year National Development Plan. The initiative, announced by President Dr. Mohamed Muiz in September last year, the consultancy on the formulation of the National Development Plan has been awarded to a local consultancy firm, Nexia Maldives.
The plan aims to guide a sustainable economic, social, environmental and urban development across the country. It will be based on research from all regions and include strategies for local areas with a legally binding framework for implementation and evaluation. The government plans to complete the plan within a year. The primary objective of consultancy is designed to outline and develop a comprehensive national development plan that addresses key economic, social, environmental, urban development and governance priorities for the sustainable growth and prosperity of the Maldives over the next 20 years. The ministry said the plan will include mechanisms for effective implementation, monitoring and evaluation of the NDP. Nexia Maldives has more than 18 years of experience in consultancy, government policy formulation, institutional strengthening and strategic planning. Nexia said the meeting with stakeholders to develop the plan will be completed within 4 months and the plan will be formulated by mid-January next year. President Dr. Muiz had stated the importance of ensuring that every island has a voice in the National Development Plan. The President highlighted that if the country's development is subject to constant shifts due to political influences, it will not benefit the people. To address this, he aims to enshrine the plan with legal authority and integrate it into the Constitution, thus making it a binding national initiative. The President emphasized that this work should be regarded as a national endeavor with input from every island in the Maldives.
The Ministry of Tourism and Environment defines how the funds from the Tourism Trust Fund may be utilized under new regulations published in the Government Gazette. The Tourism Trust Fund was established following the dissolution of the former Tourism Industry Trust Fund under an amendment to the Public Finance Act. The amendment, ratified by President Dr. Mohamed Muiz on the 19th of March this year, transferred the assets of the previous fund to the newly established Tourism Trust Fund. The Tourism Ministry said the main objective of the fund is to facilitate financial assistance for the development of the tourism sector and to provide sustainable benefits to the Maldivian people in a transparent and accountable manner. The ministry said the fund is intended to support the development of the tourism sector through the dutiful and responsible utilization of resources resources received by the fund both domestically and internationally. The regulations also describe the responsibilities of the Tourism Trust Fund and how the funds deposited in the trust fund may be utilized. The permitted areas of expenditure from the fund are as follows: development activities within the tourism industry, investment in tourism-related resources, education and training programs to enhance the human resource capacity in the tourism sector, social benefit initiatives, and expenditure aligned with the official fund statement. The regulations state the capital of the Tourism Trust Fund is categorized into 4 components. These include sponsorship funds and other financial contributions received both domestically and internationally for tourism-related activities conducted by the Ministry of Tourism, corporate social responsibility contributions to the fund by tourism operators as mandated under the Tourism Act, returns from investments made by the fund, and funds allocated for training under publicly announced tenders. According to the regulations, the Ministry of Tourism is responsible for managing the Tourism Trust Fund in line with the trust statement of the fund and as determined by the Fund Management Committee. The regulations also require the establishment of a 7-member special committee to oversee the fund. The regulations state that the minister is required to form the committee with priority given to representation from specific government sectors. These include the President's Office, Ministry of Tourism and Environment, Ministry of Finance and Planning, Ministry of Economic Development and Trade, the Attorney General's Office, the Ministry of Construction, Housing and Infrastructure, and the Maldives Inland Revenue Authority or MIRA. According to the regulations, the Ministry of Tourism must submit its annual report and financial statements to the President, the Parliament, the Ministry of Finance, and the Auditor General's Office within 3 months of the end of the financial year. Mohammed Saeed, Minister of Economic Development and Trade, sharply criticizes the previous administration's handling of the economy, attributing the Maldives' current financial strain and rising consumer prices to what he described as flawed policies implemented during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Minister Saeed, speaking on PSM News' Rajamia the program, accused the former government of economic mismanagement that resulted in unprecedented debt in 40 years. In outlining the fiscal legacy of former President Ibrahim Mohamed Saleh, Minister Saeed pointed to a series of decisions that he argued undermined the country's financial stability. When the Maldivian Democratic Party assumed office in 2018, the state's reserve reportedly stood at $1 billion, with the Sovereign Development Fund holding more than $250 million. Within a year, the national budget had expanded to $3.24 billion, up from $1.82 billion. The minister's criticism extended to the management of pandemic-related aid. Despite receiving billions of rupiah for COVID-19 recovery, he contended that actual expenditure was disproportionately low. He also cited an outstanding sum of $590.14 million owed to state-owned enterprises. Taken together, Minister Saeed claimed these actions contributed to a cumulative debt of $8.11 billion. Minister Saeed said concerns over fiscal discipline were compounded by the former administration's approach to monetary policy. He accused officials of exacerbating inflation through central bank financing, commonly referred to as printing money, and cited statistics indicating that $518.15 million had been printed during President Saleh's tenure. Minister Saeed said, addressing the economic fallout, the current administration, led by President Dr. Mohamed Muizzu, is pursuing a series of measures aimed at stabilizing the economy and curbing inflation. Among them is the establishment of the Maldives Industrial Free Zone, a dedicated entity intended to facilitate bulk storage of goods across the archipelago and improve distribution networks. Efforts to monitor and manage the cost of essential goods are also underway. Minister Saeed described the development of an essential commodity index that will track prices for 162 items, including 111 household and food preparation products, 39 varieties of fruits and vegetables, 10 fish products, and various energy items. The index, he said, is designed to identify price trends and enable timely interventions. Minister Saeed concluded by reaffirming President Muizzu's commitment to guiding the economy towards stability and implementing comprehensive solutions to address inflationary pressures.
The Maldives records over 1.3 million tourist arrivals so far this year. The number of tourists visiting the Maldives is increasing year by year.
The Ministry of Tourism and Environment states a total of 1,315,495 tourists visited the Maldives as of 3rd July 2025, compared to 1,202,579 tourists that visited during the same period last year. Therefore, this is an increase of 9.4%. Tourist arrivals during the first 3 days of the year alone totaled 20,627 arrivals. This is an increase of 5.7% compared to the same period in 2024. The number of tourists arriving in the Maldives from individual countries has also seen growth compared to the previous year. The top 5 source markets for Maldivian tourism so far this year are as follows: China with 194,159 tourists, Russia with 155,324 tourists, United Kingdom with 122,530 tourists, Italy with 93,819 tourists, Germany with 92,240 tourists. The government has set a target of 2.3 million tourist arrivals for this year. So far this year, 1.3 million tourists have already arrived in the Maldives, and around 1 million more are needed to meet the target. The peak tourism season is approaching, and arrival numbers are expected to significantly increase during this period. The Maldives currently receives an average of 6,119 tourists per day. The number is expected to increase when the new terminal opened at Valana International Airport begins accommodating more airlines. Therefore, the government remains confident that the tourism target for the year will be achieved.
Ministry of Fisheries and Ocean Resources plans to install fish aggregating devices or FADs at 38 designated sites following a surge in public requests. Of the shortlisted locations, 9 FADs have already been deployed, the ministry confirmed.
The expansion comes amid growing demand for reef-based and recreational fishing infrastructure. The initiative, led by the ministry, aims to bolster economic opportunities for local fishermen while promoting sustainable marine resource management nationwide. Central to the program are 2 categories of FADs currently deployed by the ministry: Doshi Kandufati, calibrated for pole and line fishing and targeting tuna and deep-sea species, and Vandu Kandufati, designed to support sports and reef fishing. Ministry officials report a marked increase in demand for the latter, reflecting the growing popularity of recreational fishing in coastal communities. That demand has translated into 38 formal requests for the deployment of Vandu Kandufati units. Of these, 9 have already been installed, including a newly positioned device located 7 miles southeast of Diti in Mimu Atoll on 4th August 2025. 5 Doshi Kandufati dedicated to offshore fishing, and 37 Vandu Kandufati supporting reef and sports fishing. Although no recent requests have been submitted for Doshi Kandufati, the ministry continues to maintain the offshore infrastructure. When units detach or drift, they are promptly replaced. This week, the Doshi Kandufati near Vilufushi in Tha Atoll was renewed and repositioned 10 miles east of its original location following a break-off incident. Since the start of the current administration, 22 new FADs have been deployed nationwide. Alongside this expansion, the government is advancing plans to establish dedicated FAD centers in 2 regions. The ministry has confirmed that groundwork for the center in Funadu, Shaviani Atoll is scheduled to commence before December 2025.
The Minister of Youth Empowerment, Information and Arts, Ibrahim Wahid, says the National News Agency will facilitate the production of content and hasten the development of media in the Maldives. Minister Ibrahim Wahid, speaking after signing the agreement to establish the National News Agency to provide content to the media through the state-owned public service media, pointed out the several obstacles faced by a startup media in the Maldives, which includes producing quality content with limited resources. The National News Agency, according to the minister, can bridge that gap to assist new media outlets with producing quality content with fewer employees and limited resources. PSM Managing Director Ibrahim Nasreen said the company's management is committed to utilizing its wide array of resources to develop the media in the Maldives. He expressed commitment to make the National News Agency a sustainable platform for providing content that can be shared with the local media. He added PSM is also engaged in discussions to make content from various international media agencies available to the Maldivian media through the platform. The National News Agency is designed to provide a one-stop platform for news and information. Under the agreement, the agency will establish, operate, and maintain the portal and content monitoring in collaboration with PSM and the ministry. The design and other work of the platform has been completed and is currently in the testing phase. That's all we have for now. Thank you for watching 168 Hours. See you next time.
ವ್ಯಾಪಾರಿಯ ಫೆಷಮಕಿ ವರಂಗಿನ ಬಯಕು ಕುರಾ ಉಮ್ಮಿದೆ
මෙම කුඩයිරුස්සුර අනේ උපදුණු පැෂන්නේ මේ ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රියක හම අමිල්ල ව්‍යාපාරිය ෆැෂන්
කාමියබ් කමයක ව්‍යාපාරිය කුරුමකි හුනරේ
වර්ගින මිහුම් බුණානේ කෑසයි මියන් එව බේනුවේ පැෂන් එනුන් එබ්බස් කම මිය කස බේනුවා
අස්ත ව්‍යාපාර වෙනින් ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑම් ගම්මේ ගෙනස්තේනි ව්‍යාපාරියගේ ෆන්නි අද ඉල්මි ලෆා
තජ්රිබා කුරමුන් එලිබේ තජ්රිබාගේ මච්චක් ෆ්ලා කුරමුන් පෙන්දියුම් අවඩ දෙන්නේ
ಅಸ್ಲು ವ್ಯಾಪಾರವೆರಿಂಗ್ ಮೇನ್ ಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸರ್ ಕುಕ್ಕುಳ ಫಿಹಾರ
එවගොතෙක්ගේ රාජ්‍යයක මස්ටහුම් පහකොල්ලවේ හබරා මවුදුමාතු එම්ම තෆ්සීලි ගොතෙක්ග තිබේ ෆුන්නහම ගෙනස්තිීමකි අල්ගුරුමුන්ගේ මස්සුලියට.
ಸರಕಾರಗೆ ಸಿಯಾಸತ್ತ ತಂಫೀಜ ಮುಂದ ಮಿಂವರ ಸಿಯಾಸಿ ಮಸ್ರಹ ಅಣ್ಣ ಮುಂದ ಬದಲ್ತಾ
ರೈತಂಗೆ ಮಜಲಿಯುಗ ಕುರ ಮಸಕ್ಕೆತಕ ಕಾನೂನಿ ನಿಜಾಮ ಅಣ್ಣ ಬದಲ್ತಾ ಅದೇ ಅದೊಲ್ ಇನ್ಸಾಫ್ಗೆ ನಿಜಾಮ್ಗ ಕಂಕನ್ ಹಿಂಗ ಮುಹಿಂಗಾಗೊಯ್
ರಾಜ್ಯಗೆ ಇಕ್ತಿಸಾದ ಅಣ್ಣ ಮುಂದ ಬದಲ್ತಕ ತರಕಿಗೆ ಮಶ್ರತ
ಇಜ್ತಿಮಾಯಿ ರಕ್ಕಾತೆರಿಕಂ ಕಶವರ್ ಕುರ್ಮತಕ ಸರ್ಕಾರಂ ಕುರಮದ ಮಸಕ್ಕೆತಕ ಅಮಿಲ ಫರಾತಕ ಜಮಿಯಾ ಜಮಾಯತೋಗೆ ತವರು
ತಿಮಾವಿಶ ಹಿಮಾಯ ಕುರ್ಮ ಕುರವೆ ಮಸಕ್ಕೆತಕ ಮೂಸುಮಿ ಬದಲ್ತಕ ಗುಳೆ ಎಮ್ಮೆ ಫಹುಗೆ ಮೌದುಮಾತ್
ಏಕೆ ದಾರಾತಹುಗೆ ಎಮ್ಮೆ ಇಸ್ ಬೇಬೆ ಫುಳು ಮದಿರುಕೋ ತೆದು ಬಹು ತಾಜಾ ಕಮಾಕನ್ನು ಕೆನಸ್ತನಿ ರಾಜ್ಯಮೇದು
ರಾಜ್ಯಮೇದು ಕೋಮೆರಿಯಕು 21 ಮಿನಿಟ್ಗ PSM ನ್ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್
At its core, MIFC is a city with soul. A place where architecture reflects our roots, where innovation meets tradition, and where every square meter celebrates the richness of Maldives' identity. It will be a place where families can work safely, where entrepreneurs can build fearlessly, and where nature and progress live side by side, not in conflict, but in harmony. The Maldives International Financial Center is our launchpad to become a developed nation by 2040. It will be, inshallah, our legacy. A legacy not only of bricks and steel, but of bold decisions, courageous partnerships, and national purpose.